right. So today joining me is Bhutan's most admired and adored couple, welcoming Soha and Kunal Kemmu. Hi guys, welcome to Spot.
Hi.
Hi.
Firstly, a huge congratulations to you guys. We are both Inni And Bobo. And I've seen the cover and it looks super cute and super beautiful. Yeah, it looks super cute. Firstly, I want to know that what sort of reactions you guys are getting from your fellow couple or friends, because it's a beautiful idea to come up with a book. So what kind of response you personally are getting?
Well, actually, very few people have seen the book because it's only available on the 25th, widely available.
Right. Okay.
So most people have yet to see it, but a few close people have seen it. Some family members, Kunal's family, my family. Of course, the first person to see it was our daughter as well. So, everyone has been kind. Everyone has said good things. Most importantly, I think the vision that we had as writers has come true. Of course, the words are ours, but the illustrations have been done by Rituparna Sarkar. And I think that she's added a lot because it is a picture book at the end of the day.
Right, and as you said, Inaaya has seen the book, and what was her reaction? She's already know the story, but now she has seen it in the more pictures, right? So, how was her reaction?
She was very excited, and of course, I think we were so excited. She was just feeding off our energy because we came home and when we got the copies and we showed it to her, and she went through it very quietly first. She was just looking at the pictures and sort of assessing it. And then at night for bedtime, Kunal read it to her the first time. And I think she likes it. She definitely likes the story. She wants to hear more stories now. And, what is next? Right. What are Inni and Bobo going to do next?
Right. Seeing the pictures, Kunal, she must be asking a lot of questions to you, ye kaise hua and all that, right?
So she knew the story. And I remember her saying that, why can't I see the pictures? And that's why we wrote the book. So the first thing she looked at, because it's called Inni, she said, "Is that me?" I said, "Yes, it is you." And so I think it made her feel more special that, she reads so many storybooks. So for her to know that there is a storybook that she is a part of, I think she was more excited about that. And then she was asking, "Who is this? But this doesn't look like you." I said, "No, Inaaya, it's based on you, but there's different papa and different mama in that." But like I said, she was the first reviewer of a book, because this is also, I believe that this is a book that is to be read to kids. It's not for reading yourself because it's for younger kids. So it was written with that in mind. And that's why when we wrote it, before it went into illustrations and all that, we kind of read it to Inaaya to see if she would even like it and understand it and, get the emotions that we were trying to convey. And when she did like it, was when we said that, okay, we've got a what is it called, the target audience kind of locked and do a review for us early on.
Okay. She must be not even more excited, and she must be like asking, next book kab aa raha hai and all that, right?
No, she's too young. She thinks that this is it. She doesn't know, even though the plan is to do more books, because in a way it's a complete story. It's not like a story that's left halfway saying that, oh, ab kya hoga? But it's also in a way that this is just the start of Inni and Bobo meeting. And from here on, they will have many more adventures.
As I said, it's a beautiful, story. I don't know, सबसे पहले idea किसका था, we should come up, with this book. So सबसे पहले किसको strike किया idea?
Well, the fact that we should do a book was Soha's idea, but the story was mine, because it's a routine that I have with Inaaya. I tell her a lot of stories. I just make up a lot of stories, and sometimes she gets to pick the characters. And one such time, I told her a similar story, not exactly this, and she really liked it. And she said, "But why can't I see in pictures what it looks like?" And I told Soha that should we get somebody to just maybe do a book for her on her birthday, And so I was like, "But why? But if it's a nice story, and if it can, find an audience and other children who like the story, we should probably do a book." And that's how the idea came about.
Right. Writing a book, it sounds like easy, but I know a lot of hard work and a lot goes in, especially when you are writing for kids, because you have to be particular about the words and everything that they can relate to. So while you guys were writing this book, so in terms of choosing the words and everything, how it all like you guys decided and made sure that book it like kids they understand it. Like how
Yeah.
you sure it.
I think we've read enough to Inaaya because Inaaya was like a 4-year-old. This book can be read to from anywhere, from age of birth, if you're reading to the child to when they're about 6 years old and they start reading themselves. And I've read so much to her. Kunal is, familiar with her vocabulary, things that she, emotions that she gets excited by, the fact that she's fascinated and is passionate about animals, keeping those things in mind, keeping the words that she knows in mind, as well as a couple of words that, might be, educational for the children as well at that level. We wrote it in a simple way. We want the story to resonate, of course, with the children. We wanted it to be simple in a way that they can understand without saying, what does this mean? What does this mean? And for them to feel excited, for them to feel happy, for them to feel a little nervous sometimes, a little anxious, those emotions.
And actually, sometimes some places also kind of weave in certain kind of values where it's okay to be scared, and somewhere I feel why we kind of like this idea of having Inni and Bobo at that age group and having an animal and a kid, because there are a lot of similarities, and like kids get scared of the unknown, so does the puppy. So it's things that they learn from each other. So the idea was to try and bring that in and have that like a running thing where the puppy learns some things from Inni and Inni learns something from the puppy, and also to kind of bring about the whole idea of kindness towards animals and try to push people towards adopting pets as opposed to buying pets.
So, we all know that, Soha, she has already debuted as author, but Kunal, this is your first debut, in terms of like writing. So, how was the entire experience for you? Because we knew that, more than writing, you like, imagining and, imagining a story. So, this writing experience, how it has been for you?
It was great. When you authored a book, that's a long process, because that's some 35,000 words that have to go or more into writing a book. Whereas when you write a children's book, it's somewhere around 1,600 words or 1,200 words. So it's not that big a story to write. So I just put down everything that was in my head and I wrote a story. And then Soha kind of gave it a form. And then we discussed, like you said, the kind of words we want to use, or do we want to emphasize some things? Like if you talk about the night, should we say like a dark, dark night or a bright, bright day, and, like a twinkle in the stars and all of that. So made the language slightly more so that the kids could kind of engage with it a little more.
Like we said, in Bobo, for example, has the color of a chocolate biscuit. So, that's something that kids will definitely relate to.
If they don't exactly know what color we're talking about, but chocolate biscuit will set their imagination going into so many things. So things like that. And we hope that it kind of, resonates with them also. But that was the actual time, because the original process of writing the story was just about 2 hours. But then from there to kind of, polish it and put it in a structure. And then I think the most hard work has happened from Rituparna's side, because she had to illustrate this and also illustrate in a way that it kind of matched with how we had imagined it. So the hard work actually was on that front more than on our side.
Right, and in the pictures, we have seen that Inaaya, she's an avid book reader, right? And even Soha, you also like love to read, even Stephanie, right? So is it because of in her genes that she loves to read, or she has seen anyone like in the family? I mean, how does from Inaaya she's incorporated this habit of reading?
Children, I think, always emulate what they see, especially their parents. Right. They want to impress their parents. So whether she's an avid reader or not, time will tell, because at the moment she's just doing what makes me happy. And I recognize that. So of course I want her to read, because we all understand that reading is beneficial in so many ways. And it's a good habit, certainly as opposed to limitless screen time. And we all know that. So as much as I can have that influence on her, I want to, but ultimately she'll decide for herself, whether she's a book reader or she's a movie watcher, and she must make that choice for herself. But the idea is to surround her with books, to give her enough opportunity to read as a child, to lay that foundation.
These days, we see that kids, they are more, to this mobile phone games and this video games, right? So I want to know from you guys, that personally, how do you feel, how important it is, for kids to develop this habit of like reading, or to have a children's book, home. So
look, I think it's going to be a part and parcel of evolution. We can never say technology has been around, and when we were growing up, televisions were so, I mean, not new, but they were, I mean, only the rich and fancy could afford it. I remember as a kid, we used to go to our neighbor's house to see Mahabharat in the morning, or if Giant Robot was coming at 6 p.m. at night in the evening. And there wasn't many televisions, right? And the televisions were really heavy. It would take three people to, it was like a piece of furniture. Whereas now they kind of stick to the wall. And even at that point, people didn't know what they called it, the idiot box. But soon we knew that the idiot box was actually a very smart box, which told you so many things that were happening all around here. But yes, I mean, there are scientific implications of that, because too much screen time is bad for your eyes. And also with the phones, we are also trying to deal with the fact that we spend a lot of time on the phones, and it's kind of taking us away from reality and missing out on moments which are, close to each other. But I feel that something nice about reading books is, because when you're watching a television, then you're just taking everything and your brain's not really working. It's just kind of
Passive.
it's passive. You're just intaking that. Whereas when you're reading a book, your imagination is constantly going. Like when you read a line, like in a starry night, the dragon kind of came through the darkness. You have to imagine that, so your brain is doing that. Whereas on television, everything is just happening. So I do believe that it's a good habit to inculcate in children to read books, because I think it kind of makes them more creative and more imaginative. And that's about it. But I don't have a take on screens are bad for kids or they're good for kids. I definitely think you should ration that time. Sitting in front of a television screen the whole day is a very bad thing. But I don't have anything against parents who think that it's, is it right to put an iPad in front of a kid when he's eating or not? I'm not the judge and jury in that.
So anything that you would like to add?
No, I think exactly like what Kunal said, technology is a part of our future. We tried to keep an eye, I tried to keep an eye away from screens, and then online school came along, and then she had to sit in front of an iPad for 2 hours in the day. So you have to adapt to what is required. And, I think, as Kunal said, a certain amount of limited screen time. You have to, of course, ration the content as well and see what they're watching, whether it's age appropriate. Hand in hand with enough that is off screen, that is real. And nothing, I think, can replace free play, especially for a child who's our age. Just allowing them to be with friends, of course, and with limited amount of toys, and allow them to really express themselves through play. I think that is something that people perhaps don't do enough of.
And also, so I want to know from you that you and Kunal, you guys have divided the parental duties, because what we see is that people, they have this notion that only women, they are responsible, they have all the duties, right? But how you guys have divided and yeah.
No, it's very important, and it's very helpful to have two people looking after, two parents looking after a child, because we're both working at the end of the day. And Inaaya is already at that age where she recognizes and she loves us more than anyone else on the planet. She would much rather have Kunal or me around than somebody else, even though we're blessed to have a very good nanny, and we have our family, etc. around. But she chooses us, and when I'm not there, Kunal fills in for everything. There's nothing that I can do that he can't do, and there's nothing that he can do that I can't do now. So, there's, except for maybe these tickling games, and they play all sorts of like really wild games, Inaaya and Kunal. And that's just not my personality. And I really value that that's his personality, and that he can bring that to her. So all those things, I think that it's very helpful to have a partnership.
Right, writing this book, it must have been a very memorable, moment for you guys. But I want to know that, is there any memory that is very still fresh in your mind when you guys were writing this book, and you would like to share with us? The memory just still very fresh.
Well, again, it didn't take very long to write this book. So I remember the day that we decided to do it, and then that very evening, because we were excited about it, Kunal came up with the story and the emotional beats, and wrote down a skeleton, and then I wrote down the story and fleshed it out, and then we read it to each other, and we were so happy with it. And then when we've read it to Inaaya perhaps for the first time, when it was in its full story form, and we saw her giggle, and we saw her literally, like, her face light up and her laugh out loud, I think that's when I remember that moment. And I think just the experience of having done something together as a couple, I think that it's nice to see our names together on a book. I do believe that we are a good partnership, and that we complement each other in many ways. And it's nice to have something physically out there apart from our daughter to be a testament to that.
And also the Soha, she's a very good painter also. I've seen her pictures, that which she paints, she draws, she
Who does?
Inaaya. Yeah, right. Inaaya, she's also a very good painter, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I want to know from you that kahan se Inaaya know? I mean, she's a painter, and then she loves reading books. I mean, what is her sort of inspiration? I mean, she sees around the world.
Honestly, I have to say that none of this is genetic or anything. I think it's when you give them an opportunity or you expose them to enough, you will automatically see that there are certain things that they will kind of latch on to and want to do more. And then there are certain things that will be like a phase that they will enjoy for a bit and then they won't. It's like also like growing up, right? She was going through this Elsa phase, which was all about Frozen. Then she went into this unicorns phase. So she wanted to color in unicorn books. She wanted unicorn t-shirts. And then that changes. And, like then Moana came along and then she wanted to dress like Moana. But I think with coloring and, colors and doing clay work and all of that is something that every kid enjoys. And I think we should, as parents, just make sure that they have all of this. Then they can decide what they like more or less. But every kid will go through it. But like she might really enjoy reading books today. She might not want to read books tomorrow, or she might not enjoy painting tomorrow, and she might want to play an instrument. But it's nice to, open their minds and let them have those experiences so that they can decide for themselves what they like.
Nash had a huge book collection, right? So I want to know from you, Soha, which genre she enjoys, and basically books that Inaaya she loves to read, and which are her favorites.
I mean, of course, genre. It's not like we're exposing her to horror or thrillers at this stage.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But even humor is something that is difficult because humor tends to be not so literal when it comes to language. So there are books that are literal, firstly, things that make sense to her, and animals. Whether they're authors like Julia Donaldson, whether they are Eric Carle, these are popular authors. But more than authors, like, for example, Frozen, the movie, which is so popular with so many children, just stories around that movie, or Moana, are ones that she really enjoys.
So I want to know from you that it's been like I think 4-5 years that you have embraced the motherhood. So how this motherhood phase has like changed you? Or
I mean, as any parent, I think will tell you, it does change your life completely. And I think your priority changes, perhaps your focus changes. I have never really put anybody else for me in a way that I've done with my daughter, and happily, voluntarily. So your lens just changes, and it's not like I see the world differently. But somewhere along the way, you lose yourself in your child, and then you get your identity back. That takes a bit of an adjustment phase, or it certainly was for me. And I feel now that I'm more balanced, and I'm able to sort of see myself as a separate individual to my child, and her as a separate individual to me.
And when you are on the sets, and how do you manage, when you are working, and even Kunal is also working, then how do you guys manage?
With Shobha Didi.
With Inaaya.
She's our nanny, and she's very, very good. And she's been with us for a very long time. And we are family. Kunal's family is here. My mother has been in Delhi when I've been shooting as well for a couple of months. So, we have a good, solid infrastructure around us, as well as a child now who's old enough to understand what it means to see our parents go to work, and the knowledge that they will come back, and that they're going off to do something that they really enjoy.
Right. Who pampers Inaaya the most, Kunal? सबसे ज़्यादा Inaaya को pampering कौन करता है?
Everybody pampers her. She's loved and pampered all of us. But between the two of us, Soha also pampers her. But Soha's pampering is also very disciplined, and it's. I think in that equation, I might be the one who pampers her a lot. But like I said, she's the only child, and like all the grandparents and all the family, when they come, she gets pampered a lot. So there's no scarcity of being pampered.
Who is that more strict? But I mean, you have a very strict parent. So who's that one?
Well, see, we both do it in equal doses because it's important to be strict at times, because they also that's when they learn what is right and what is wrong and what is okay and what is not. So both of us do it in bits and pieces, but our styles are slightly different.
Okay. So, I want to know that any habit of Inaaya which you find really cute, any of her habit that you would like to share with us.
I just think that she's, she always likes to make people feel happy,
Okay.
So I think that she has a quality about her where she will actively make an effort to try and make you feel special. And I think that that's a good quality.
All right. So before we wrap up, I want to know from you guys that your book will be available on 25th. So what people they can expect. What is your message for them?
Well, the book says all of it. It's Inni and Bobo find each other. So it's a story of a little girl who finds this pet and how this pet finds Inni. And just it's not a long book, so it's not like I have to give a teaser. But it's a book that I hope resonates with all the parents and the children and people who love animals.
All right. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the very best for your every project.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you.